In earlier years, it was thought that positive charge is some invisible fluid flowing from higher potential to lower potential. This is in similarity with the flow of liquid from higher level to lower level, or flow of heat from higher temperature to lower temperature. Today we know that in conductors, electric current is due to drifting of electrons from negative to positive potentials, that is from lower potential to higher potential. We also know that in semiconductors there are two kinds of charge carriers, negative and positive. Based on their relative concentrations, the semiconductors are classified as N-type and P-type semiconductors. This knowledge is due to Hall effect. Now let us see what is actually the Hall effect. The Hall effect was discovered in 1879 by Edwin Herbert Hall while he was working on his doctorate degree at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. The statement of the Hall effect is, when a specimen, can be metal or semiconductor, carrying current is placed in the transverse magnetic field, an electric field is produced inside the specimen in a direction mutually perpendicular to the direction of the current as well as the magnetic field. This phenomenon is known as Hall effect. We can recall some important concepts that we have already studied in our lower classes. When an electric charge is moving through a magnetic field, it experiences force. Electrons that travel through the magnetic field will also experience a magnetic force, and this force is called as magnetic Lorentz force. When a particle carrying charge Q is moving in the magnetic field of induction B with the velocity v, the force that is experienced by the particle is F, is written as F is equal to Q into V cross B in the vector notation. In the scalar form, it can be written as F is equal to QVB sin theta, where theta is the angle between the velocity of the particle and the direction of the magnetic field. Now let us see the Hall effect. Let us consider a specimen of 4 faces 1, 2, 3, 4 as shown in the figure is placed in the external transverse magnetic field so that its length is lying along the x-axis. And between the two faces 2 and 4, a battery is connected to establish the potential difference. Therefore, the current flows either from 2 to 4 or from 4 to 2 depending on the terminals to which the specimen is connected. Let us now consider a p-type semiconductor which is placed in the magnetic field, and voltage V is applied to the sample. Let us say the holes are moving from contact 2 to contact 4 with the velocity Vd. Here Vd is the drift velocity, the velocity of the charge carriers in the presence of applied electric field is called as the drift speed. Therefore, the drift speed of the charge carriers is Vd, which is always directly proportional to strength of the applied electric field. Therefore, Vd is proportional to E applied, and proportionality constant is mu. The subscript P indicates the holes. Therefore, Vd is equal to mu P into E applied. Vd is the drift speed of the holes, mu P is the mobility of the holes, E is the applied electric field. This can also be written as mu D into V by L, where L is the length of the specimen, that is the distance between the two contacts 2 and 4. Now the magnetic field exerts a force called Lorentz force on the charge carriers, which is nothing but E into Vd cross B, as we have seen in the earlier slide, acting on holes and deflecting them towards the side 1. When the holes are moving, a Lorentz force is acting on the holes and they are deflected towards the side 1. That side 1 is determined by using Fleming's left hand rule. As a consequence, the side 1, the holes are getting accumulated. Naturally, the electrons or the negative charge moves towards the side 3. Therefore, we can say that at side 1, the positive charge is accumulated. At side 3, the negative charge is accumulated. Before this situation, the specimen was neutral at every place. Now, the specimen is polarized. The positive charge is accumulated at the side 1 and the negative charge is accumulated at the side 3. Due to the separation of these two charges, there is an electric field that is established between 1 and 3 sides. This electric field is called as Hall electric field, which is due to the separation of the charges. This is always established in a direction perpendicular to both the direction of the current and to the magnetic field. Once the electric field is established, there will be potential difference between the two sides 1 and 3. This potential difference is called as Hall potential difference. Here in this slide we can see 3 diagrams. When the Hall effect takes place in p-type semiconductor, the holes accumulated at the bottom surface and electrons accumulated at the top surface. Because the majority charge carriers in p-type semiconductor are holes, and holes are drifted towards the lower surface. When the Hall effect is observed in n-type semiconductor, since the electrons are majority charge carriers, they are accumulated at the bottom surface and the positive charge is accumulated at the top surface. If it is a conductor, if the Hall effect is observed in a conductor, free electrons accumulated at bottom surface and the positive charge is present on the upper surface. We can see that electric field that is established between the sides 1 and 3 is Hall electric field. It is written as EH is equal to VH by D, where D is the distance between the sides 1 and 3. It is the width of the specimen. When the electrons and the holes are experiencing force due to the presence of magnetic field, they are moving in opposite directions. The force experienced by the holes in the presence of magnetic field is given as EV/dB, where E is the charge of the hole, Vd is the drift velocity of the hole, B is the magnetic field induction. When the Hall electric field is established, the same carriers will also experience force due to the electric field. The drift of the charge carriers or the drift of the holes will continue till these two forces are equal and in opposite direction. The two forces are, one force is due to the presence of Hall electric field and the other force is due to the presence of applied magnetic field. When these two forces are balanced by one another, the drift of the holes will be stopped and the equilibrium state is attained. Therefore, we can write down that E into EH is equal to E drift velocity Vd and magnetic field induction B. This gives equation number 1. If J is the current density, that is the current divided by the cross-sectional area through which the current is passing, that is I by A, can also be written as J is equal to N subscript C E into V subscript D. J is the current density, Nc is the concentration of the charge carriers, E is the charge of the particle, Vd is the drift speed. So from the equation 1, we can see that by cancelling small e on both sides, it can be seen that EH is equal to VdB. And in the place of Vd, from the equation number 2, which is equal to J by Ne. So by combining these two equations, we can arrive at the equation 3. That is EH is equal to Bj by Ne. So in this equation, every term has got its own meaning. EH is the strength of the Hall electric field, B is the magnetic field induction, J is the current density, N with the subscript C is the concentration of the charge carriers, E is the charge of the carrier. Here this can be written as EH is equal to RHJB. In the equation number 4, we are rewriting the equation number 3 as EH is equal to RHJB, where RH is nothing but 1 by Ne. It is also called as Hall coefficient. Therefore, Hall coefficient for holes, it is written as 1 by Ne. 1 by Ne. N is the concentration of the charge carriers. Usually, in the case of the holes, N is replaced by P. For electrons, it is written as N. Remember, the Hall coefficient will be 1 by Ne for electrons, that is for N-type semiconductor. And RH is equal to 1 by Pe, that is for holes, that is for P-type semiconductor. But accurate analysis shows that this Hall coefficient is nothing but small r with capital H subscript divided by Pe, where this RH is a constant. At room temperature, its value is taken to be 3 pi by 8. It depends on temperature and it is called as Hall factor. The Hall coefficient for P-type semiconductor is 3 pi by 8 Pe, and for N-type semiconductor it is 3 pi by 8 Ne. Now let us see how this Hall coefficient can be determined. We know that VH is the Hall potential difference that is created between the sides 1 and 3, and EH is the Hall electric field and D is the distance between the sides 1 and 3. And using equation 4, we can write as VH is equal to RHJBD. This equation is 12. Here we are taking this L as the thickness of the sample. Though it is mentioned as length of the sample, it is considered to be the thickness of the sample. And D is the distance between the first and third phase. Therefore, LD is the cross-sectional area through which current is passing. Therefore, the current density J is equal to I by A can be written as I by L into D. So here it should be clear that every term has got its own meaning. J is current density, I is the current, A is the area of cross section through which the current is passing. Current is passing through the area whose area of cross section is L into D, where D is the width of the specimen, or it is the distance between the sides 1 and 3, and L is the thickness of the sample. This I is the current. Therefore, we can write down that VH is equal to RHIB by L by substituting for J in the previous equation. This is the equation that is obtained by substituting the value of J in the previous equation, that is VH is equal to RHIB by L, which gives the equation 14. And hence RH is equal to, I am rewriting this equation 14, RH is equal to VH into L by I into B, where RH is the Hall coefficient, VH is the Hall potential, L is the thickness of the sample, I is the current that is passing through the sample, B is the magnetic field induction. As the polarity of the VH will be positive for N-type and P-type semiconductors, the sign RH will be different for the two types of semiconductors. It will be negative for N-type semiconductor and RH will be positive for P-type semiconductor. This Hall effect is very important phenomenon, using which we can find out whether a specimen that is placed in the magnetic field is the N-type semiconductor or P-type semiconductor. That is the first use of this Hall effect. The second one is we can find out the concentration of the charge carriers. If it is the N-type semiconductor, we can find the value of N. If it is P-type semiconductor, we can determine the value of P. Using Hall effect, we can also find out either conductivity or mobility of the charge carriers. Both cannot be determined simultaneously. To determine conductivity of the specimen, we should have the value of the mobility, or to determine the value of mobility, we should have the value of conductivity. These are the three uses of Hall effect. Now let us see the applications of Hall effect. Hall effect is used to find whether a semiconductor is N-type or P-type. Hall effect is used to find carrier concentration. Hall effect is used to calculate the mobility of charge carriers. Hall effect is used to measure the conductivity. Hall effect is used to measure AC power and the strength of the magnetic field. Hall effect is used in an instrument called Hall effect multiplier, which gives the output proportional to the product of two input signals. This is about the Hall effect.